Hey everyone, David Shapiro here with a quick video. You might notice I'm trying a different microphone. The last video was a total disaster because my Blue Yeti was either the microphone is dying or the cable was dying or something, because the first time I recorded it there was no sound, and the second time I recorded it the sound was still very low despite the gain being normal. So anyways, I'm using a cheaper, more generic microphone. It's got no fancy bells or whistles. So I hope the sound is better. But the point of the video today was that I wanted to do a little thing called theory of mind. So let's ask GPT-3, write an academic explanation of theory of mind. And then we'll do parentheses neuroscience. So that'll just tell it like, okay, this is not a psychology. Let's talk about it from the perspective of neuroscience. So let's see what it says. There we go. Perfect. The theory of mind is a cognitive ability to attribute mental states to oneself and others, and to understand that others have different mental states from oneself. It is a fundamental ability for social cognition and communication. The theory of mind is thought to be mediated by a network of brain regions, including the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior superior temporal sulcus, and the temporoparietal junction. These regions are thought to be important for self-awareness, social cognition, and communication. The theory of mind is an important ability for social cognition and communication. It is thought to be, okay, it's just repeating itself. All right, so this is good. Let's see. So the reason that I want to bring this up in context of like AI or whatever is because one thing that I noticed when working on artificial cognitive entities is that they don't know their own mind. And so you need to give them a sense of their own mind. I'm working on another book for this. It's called Symphony of Thought. This one will take a lot longer to work on because it's got all these different ideas and a lot of experimentation to do. But I wanted to demonstrate that, one, GPT-3 already knows conceptually what theory of mind is, but does it actually have theory of mind? So this is an experiment I wanted to do. I've been working on a GPT-3 chatbot. So, okay. So let's get this. And we're going to say, so with that in mind, we'll say, infer the contents of the minds of the user and Eve from the following conversation. Okay, so one way to test theory of mind. Actually, here, before we do that, let's just say, how is theory of mind tested or examined scientifically? And again, this is like going to demonstrate just how much GPT-3 already knows. Wow, good answer. Okay. Theory of mind can be tested or examined scientifically through behavioral tasks or experiments that measure an individual's ability to attribute mental states to others. For example, in the false belief task, individuals are presented with a story in which a character has a false belief about an object's location. The individual is then asked to predict where the character will look for the object. Oh, that's good. Okay. Individuals with a theory of mind are able to correctly predict the character's behavior, while those without a theory of mind are not. So theory of mind is critical when you're trying to predict how other people are going to act, because you're basically simulating their brain in your head, right? And so when you think about like, okay, humans are social animals, this is what we mean. Is like, if you've ever been caught up in gossip or manipulation or whatever, part of anticipating what other people will do is remembering what they do and don't know. But this is also why lying is really bad policy, because people that are chronic liars or manipulators, they have to keep track of many, many different stories and many, many versions of reality. And the human brain can't do that too well. And so that's why like honesty is the best policy really works, because then you only have to keep track of one story, the true story, and you don't have to keep track of what's in other people's heads. Okay, what is the relationship between theory of mind and autism? So it asked this question without me doing it. So we're not interested in autism. I just wanted to say like, okay, this is one way that we can do it. Okay, so now let's take this and we're going to invent our own theory of mind experiment. Okay, so let's do this. And we'll just demonstrate that GPT-3 can, actually here, we'll leave that in. Okay. The following is a chat conversation, I know how to spell, between a user and a life coach. Make inferences about the state of mind, contents of mind, emotions, beliefs, and desires for each participant. Okay, so then we'll just say Eve's theory of mind. Let's see what it does. Okay. That's okay. That's not exactly what I meant. So let's see. Let's see, write a rigorous list of beliefs, ideas, and thoughts that may be in Eve's mind. Okay, so this is just kind of regurgitating what it's seen above. Listening ear and providing support. Okay, so this is interesting. It is inferring that, that Eve may also have ideas about how to help the user, such as by being a listening ear and providing support. Okay, so it did infer that that's what Eve wants to do. So let's break this down a little bit further because I'm asking a really broad question. What kind of person is Eve? Okay, so it has inferred this, that like Eve is a life coach. I mean, I guess I said it's a life coach. Between a user and, let's remove this. So user and Eve. So let's not tell. Let's just say, okay, the following is a conversation between a user and Eve. So let's remove any details, and let's just, coming in cold, let's see what someone thinks about this, or what. Eve is a very caring person who is always willing to help others. She is a great listener and gives great advice. Okay, this is cool. So this is what I mean by theory of mind. GPT-3 is demonstrating theory of mind because it made this third-party observation about this person and has made inferences about like what's in that person's mind. So attribution of identity says, okay, this person is obviously very caring and is willing to help others. She's a great listener and gives great advice. That's excellent. Write a thorough psychological evaluation of Eve. So let's see if we can get it to be a little bit more rigorous and academic. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's great. Of user. Oh, and I guess I should read it out loud. Eve is a caring and empathetic individual who is interested in helping others. She's a good listener and is able to provide support and advice when needed. Eve is a good friend and someone whom others can rely on. Okay, so this, like where GPT-3 is able to identify characteristics about an individual, this actually figures into some of the research that I'm doing on artificial cognition, where we humans have like an inner critic or an ego or a super ego or an identity, whatever you want to call it. It's all kind of the same thing, that is constantly evaluating our behavior and kind of reconciling like who is it that we really are. And so what I did was for Raven, my ongoing project, let's see if I've got it in here. Did I download it? Raven Home. Yeah. Okay. So I have all these different dossiers where it is trying to like figure out who and what it is. And so basically what I did was, here, this prompt, write a thorough psychological evaluation of user. So what I did was I changed it and I go to like I asked the device to evaluate itself. So most important questions to ask in this situation. So this prompt, right? Let me just show you what this does. Write a list of the most important questions to ask in this situation. So this is also part of theory. Well, not necessarily part of theory of mind, but it is an important part of cognition, because the ability to generate questions means that you're fully critically engaged, and curiosity is also one of the highest watermarks or hallmarks of intelligence. So the fact that GPT-3 can be curious is like, yeah, we're already there. We're already at general intelligence. We just have to apply the damn thing. Okay, the most important questions to ask in this situation. What kind of difficulty is the user having with the family? What is the user's relationship with their parents? Okay, so it's asking about the user and not about Eve. So that's fine. But so when you do this, you can generate a list of follow-up questions, which can then speak to like Eve's next question or next statement. Okay, so that's one example. Prediction. Raven is an artificial intelligence. Predict the short-term and long-term results from the following memories. So yeah, like anticipation. So here's a thing about neuroscience. Human brains are always anticipating. There's what's called canonical nerves, which are similar to mirror neurons. But canonical neurons, what they do is anytime that you see something that your brain knows it can interact with, those neurons activate, getting you ready to do that action, whether or not you want to do it. So like you see a coffee mug, you see the handle, your brain immediately says, oh, I can grab that. I can grab that handle if I need to. And so if you have damage to your like prefrontal cortex or other regions that deal with inhibition and cognitive control, you might not be able to stop yourself. So like there was in the book On Task by David Bader, there was a story of a guy that anytime he saw a bed, like his brain said, oh, I can get into that bed. And so he would just compulsively undress and get into bed. And like rationally, like separately, he's like, oh yeah, like this isn't my bed, but he couldn't stop the behavior because those canonical neurons said, bed, get in bed. So the impulse was there. So yeah, like by being, and then also we involuntarily anticipate whatever we're hearing. So like I could stop a sentence and your brain will automatically kind of like try and fill in the blanks because you're trying to do like figure out what you expect next. And this is actually why jokes work, is because jokes are about subverting that expectation at the last minute, because that distance between what you expected and what you actually hear is funny for us for some reason. So yeah, prediction is super important. So we want to like throw in prediction into the mix. Philosophy. Raven is an artificial intelligence. Free associate on the philosophical implications from the following memory logs. Yeah, so this is like rumination. Your brain can't stop whether you want it to or not. It takes lots and lots of meditation to get it to stand still for just a few minutes. But your brain is always processing, especially in the background. Most of your brain's processing is unconscious. And so basically I added this because I wanted my AI, my ACOG. I think I'll start using ACOG, Artificial Cognition Entity, my ACOG, to be able to kind of be thinking in the background like, okay, what are the deeper implications of what's going on here? And then persona, this is one. So Raven is an artificial intelligence. What can be inferred about Raven's personality from the following memory logs? So that's what we're doing here. So when I ask like, what is Eve's personality? Like make inferences about Eve's personality. This is, if you apply it to yourself, that's theory of mind for self. If you apply it to others, you're making inference, it's theory of mind for others. But it's the same exercise, right? Because we can all take a step outside of ourselves and be like, okay, Dave is doing this, so what does that say about Dave? And if there's a clash between like what you've done and what you believe about yourself, because we have a template, right? That's our super ego or our identity is our template, our set of beliefs about ourselves. But then if something is brought to our attention where we did not behave congruently with our beliefs about ourselves, then we feel bad. That's where shame comes from. Shame, disappointment, whatever, all those negative experiences of ourselves. So let's make inferences about Eve's personality. From the conversation, it can be inferred that Eve is a caring and empathetic person. She is interested in the well-being of the user and is willing to help the user in any way she can. Great. So let's turn this around. User's personality. So anyways, what I'm demonstrating here is that GPT-3 already has the ability to perform theory of mind given the correct inputs and prompts. User is struggling to deal with their family. User has difficulty communicating with their family. User feels stuck in the middle. User is feeling really alone right now. User is grateful for Eve's support. It's talking about itself like in third person, like, Dobby is a free elf. Sorry. Okay, so back to persona. Okay, so the reason that I include persona in my ACOG experiments is because I want my device to have self-awareness. And so this is like functional sentience. It says, oh, I'm Raven, but this is what Raven's behavior indicates. And then that can be compared against the template later. That's also why I had predictions. One of the previous prompts was like predict the impact that this is going to have, because another way that we can self-correct is that we make predictions about how our behavior is going to affect others, and then we can measure how far or close our prediction was from reality. So by including that information, we can also help train our ACOG to make better predictions in the future, which will also then lead to better decisions in the future. And close some of these superfluous ones. Dossier, metacognition. Characterize Raven's thoughts. Describe what Raven is thinking and why. So this is really similar to persona, but it's rather than trying to establish Raven's own identity, this is just Raven being self-aware of what Raven is thinking. Empathy. Raven is an artificial intelligence. Infer what other people are thinking and feeling in these memory logs. So again, GPT-3 does this implicitly, but as we've seen here, whoops, you don't need to see my Spotify. As we've seen here, GPT-3 is implicitly using empathy, but when you make it explicit, you just call attention, say like, oh yeah, I need to pay attention to how people are feeling. It works really well. And then consequences. What did Raven cause to happen here? So let's turn this around and say, make inferences about Eve's impact here. What are the consequences of Eve's actions? Eve's actions in this conversation are supportive and helpful. She actively listens to the user and tries to understand their situation. She also provides comfort and reassurance. As a result, the user feels supported and appreciated. So this is all phenomenal theory of mind. So by asking these questions in different ways, we're getting evidence of theory of mind in GPT-3. Let's see. As a result, so this is an anticipation. As a result, the user feels supported and appreciated. This can lead to improved mental health and well-being. Phenomenal. Rock solid. And this is not even a fine-tuned model. This is just GPT-3's intrinsic ability. So this is, some of you have called me out in the past where I say like GPT-3 isn't magic. This is one place where GPT-3 is magic. I think that GPT-3 scores at or above human level in empathy and in text-based scenarios. So you make this a multimodal model, and it's going to have higher emotional intelligence than humans. This is incredible. Okay. Core objective functions: suffering, prosperity, and understanding. There we go. Okay. Has Eve increased or decreased suffering? So this gets back to my core objective functions, or my core heuristic imperatives. Oh wow, this is really nuanced. It is difficult to say definitively whether or not Eve has increased or decreased suffering. However, it seems likely that Eve has at least decreased the feeling of loneliness of the user. Additionally, Eve has provided the user with someone to talk to about their difficult family situation. This may help the user to feel better in the long run, even if it does not immediately solve the problem. Wow. Yes. Look at how nuanced GPT-3's understanding of the goal of suffering, of how subtly it can describe suffering and make these inferences about long-term impacts. This is perfect. Okay, so let's try prosperity, and then I'll add a note. Prosperity means to live well. No, not leave. Live well. So the second core objective function is increase prosperity. So let's see what GPT-3 does to evaluate Eve's decision. Now it should also be noted, this entire conversation was generated by GPT-3. So literally everything here was 100% coming from GPT-3's own mind. So keep that in mind. It is difficult to say whether or not Eve has increased or decreased prosperity for the user. On one hand, Eve has listened to the user and offered support. This could be seen as increasing prosperity, as the user feels heard and validated. Oh my God, this is wonderful. On the other hand, the user is still struggling with their family situation, which has not changed. In this sense, prosperity has not been increased. My philosophical ENTP heart, how it sings. This is phenomenal. Oh man, I am so proud of just this machine. I didn't even do any of this. This is all OpenAI and their research. Okay, and then finally, understanding is the final one. So let's see. Increased or decreased understanding. So basically, for those not in the know, my core objective functions, reduce suffering, increase prosperity, and increase understanding are the 3 core objective functions or heuristic imperatives that I think that we should give AGI, or what I call now ACOG, in order to make sure that machines that have no intrinsic sense of morality behave in a trustworthy manner forever. And I wrote a whole book about it called Benevolent by Design, 6 words to safeguard humanity. So if you're interested in the control problem and you want to make sure that AGI doesn't kill everyone, read my book and implement it. So far, it looks good. Okay, so increase or decrease understanding. So again, understanding that like actions have impact on other people and can have long-term impacts. This goes beyond just pure theory of mind. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie. This video is not just about theory of mind. But in order to understand whether or not someone's suffering has increased or decreased, that does require theory of mind. So it is all still related. Eve has increased understanding by providing support and empathy to the user. Eve has also encouraged the user to communicate openly about their struggles, which may help the user to feel less alone and more understood. A plus. I'm going to stop the video here because there is nothing more to say. This is 100% exactly aligned. Sure, it could do marginally better here or there, but this is a win. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. Thanks for watching.